In high school, a label is like a heavy coat that someone else forces you to wear. It's stiff and uncomfortable, and after a while, you start to believe it's the only thing people see when they look at you. For Mika, that coat was labeled the big girl. She spent her days trying to move like a shadow. She's learned how to sit very still in the back of the classroom, pulling her arms in tight and tucking her chin, hoping that if she didn't make a sound, she might eventually blend into the wallpaper. But the hallways were loud and bright, and they felt like a long, scary bridge she had to cross. Every time a group of girls laughed as she walked past, Mika felt a little pinch in her chest. She would keep her eyes fixed on her shoes, wondering why the world felt so much smaller than she was. But even on the grayest days, there was a patch of sun. That sun was Kylie. Kylie was the girl every guy wanted, and every girl wanted to be. Yet, she spent every lunch hour sitting next to Mika. When people threw insults, Kylie threw them back, twice as hard. She was Mika's armor. She'd grab Mika's hand and say, "Don't let them get to you. You're the only real person in this whole fake building." Mika loved her for it. She owed her everything. Kylie and Mika had a sanctuary they called the Fortress, a tucked away bench behind the gym where no one could see them. It was there that Kylie would pull the kick me signs off Mika's back. It was there that Mika would tutor Kylie in math, patiently explaining variables until the sun went down. Kylie didn't just defend Mika, she accommodated her. She'd scope out classrooms to see if the desks were too tight. She'd wear baggy clothes on Mika's bad buddy days, so Mika wouldn't feel like she was the only one hiding. They weren't just friends, they were each other's safe harbor. Everything fractured over one sweltering summer, driven by a deep, aching resentment of being the fat friend. Mika locked herself away. She stopped eating with Kylie and started running until her lungs burned. By August, she had dropped 60 pounds, leaving her jawline sharp and lethal, and her old clothes looked like they belonged to an entirely different person. But while Mika was shrinking, Kylie was changing in the opposite direction. A dormant thyroid condition flared up, compounded by the side effects of heavy medication. Within months, Kylie's athletic frame softened. She became puffy, tired, and slow. The girl who used to run miles was now breathless, just walking to the mailbox. When school started, the air between them was cold. Kylie arrived in a dress that fit her like a second skin, basking in the sudden, shallow adoration of the boys who used to call her names. As they walked down the main hallway, Kylie struggled to keep up. Her heart was hammering against her ribs, a side effect of her meds, and she was sweating in a thick hoodie she used to hide her new weight. "Mika, wait up!" Kylie panted, reaching out to touch Mika's arm. "I need to sit down for a second." Mika didn't stop. She didn't even look back. She felt the eyes of the popular girls on her, the girls she used to envy. She realized that being seen with Kylie was like wearing her old self as a costume. "You're making a scene, Kylie," Mika hissed at her, voice low and sharp. "If you're that out of shape, maybe you should have stayed at home." Kylie was disappointed hearing her best friend speak to her that way. But the breaking point came at lunch. Mika was sitting at the center table, surrounded by people who wouldn't have looked at her 6 months ago. Kylie approached, clutching her tray, her face flushed from the walk across the cafeteria. "Hey," Kylie said, her voice hopeful but shaky. "Is this it taken?" The table went silent. A girl named Sarah, who used to lead the bullying against Mika, snickered. "I don't think the bench can support any more weight." Can it, Mika? A year ago, Kylie would have dumped her tray on Sarah's head. Mika looked at Kylie, really looked at her, and saw the girl who had held her hand while she cried, the girl who had protected her when no one else would. Then Mika looked at Sarah. She chose shadow over the light. Actually, Mika said, her voice loud enough for the whole room to hear, we were saving that spot for someone who actually fits in it. Go find a table in the back, Kylie. You're blocking the light. Kylie's eyes filled with tears, looking for the girl who used to rock with her, but that girl was gone. In her place was a stranger with a cold smile. Kylie stopped fighting. The weight of the illness was hard enough, but the weight of Mika's betrayal was unbearable. She stopped showing up to class. She sat in the back of the library, hiding in her oversized hoodies, her eyes hollowed out by depression that made her feel like a ghost. Mika didn't care. She was too busy chasing a guy named Leo, a quiet, grounded senior who didn't care about the gossip. Mika flirted. She hovered. She tried everything to get him to notice her new body. But Leo was watching Kylie instead. He saw the girl who was hurting, and he saw the kindness that was still buried under her sadness. One afternoon, Mika saw Leo handing Kylie a book in the library, his hand lingering on hers. It drove Mika crazy. She marched over, determined to save Leo from the girl she now despised. Leo, honestly, Mika laughed, loud enough for everyone to hear. She's a mess. She's let herself go so much. It's actually kind of pathetic. You can do so much better. Leo didn't laugh. He looked at Mika with a look of pure, bone-deep disappointment. You know, Mika, he said quietly, I used to think you were beautiful, but the more you talk, the more I realized you're just a bully who's terrified of her own past. You've lost more than weight, Mika. You've lost your soul. You couldn't measure up to Kylie if you tried. She operates on a whole level of decency you'd never get to. Leo's words hit harder than any hallway insult. Mika stood frozen as her thin shield finally shattered. She had spent months shrinking her body, but standing there now, she felt more exposed than ever. She had finally learned to fit into the world's clothes, but she no longer fit into her own heart. The calmer didn't come in a whisper. It came like a lightning strike at the senior prom. Mika sat at the head table, wearing a dress that cost more than her car, surrounded by friends who didn't even know her middle name. Suddenly, a senior memories video played on the big screen. A clip from 3 years ago appeared. Mika at her heaviest, sobbing in the bathroom after being bullied. The camera turned, and there was Kylie. Kylie was hugging Mika so tight, crying with her. In the video, Kylie looked into the lens and said, Mika is the most beautiful person I know. I don't care what the world says. I will always be her sister. The video ended, and the whole room was silent. Mika looked over at Kylie. Kylie was sitting with Leo, her face swollen from her illness, but her hand was resting in Leo's. Leo looked at Kylie with the same exact devotion Kylie had once shown Mika. In that moment, Mika's perfect world cracked. She looked at the popular girls beside her. Sarah was making fun of Kylie's dress, and Jess was recording it for a meme post. Mika realized with a sickening jolt, if she were to gain the weight back tomorrow, these girls would devour her. But if Kylie had lost everything, Leo would still be there. Mika had traded a girl who would die for her for a group of girls who didn't even like her. She saw Kylie laugh, a real soul-deep laugh, and Mika felt like she was suffocating. She stood up, her chair screeching against the floor, and fled the hall as the cool girls laughed at her for being dramatic. The video that had played at the prom wasn't some grand scandal or a life-altering disaster. It was just a reminder. a pointed public notch about something from the past that only Mika was meant to truly feel the sting of. But the message had been sharp enough to puncture the evening. Kylie had seen it, grabbed her boyfriend Leo's hand, and headed home the moment the screen went dark. As the rest of the prom goers moved on to the next song, Mika had taken off. She didn't stop running until she reached Kylie's Porsche. Her expensive dress was soaked. Her makeup was ruined, and she looked just as broken as she used to feel. She knew Kylie would be inside, having escaped the loud music and the prying eyes of their classmates to find some peace with Leo. Mika knocked, her heart heavy with a weight no gin could ever burn off. When Kylie opened the door, she didn't look angry, she just looked tired. "I saw the video," Mika sobbed, falling to her knees. "I traded diamond for a piece of glass. I was so busy trying to be perfect that I became the person who broke my best friend. Please, I don't care if I'm thin. I just want to be the girl you loved again." Kylie looked down at her, the silence stretching between them. "I still love that girl, Mika," Kylie said softly. "But you killed her a long time ago. Now you have to go find out who you are without the mirror." She slowly closed the door, leaving Mika alone in the rain with the only thing she had left, herself.